Hello. Okay. Good evening. Um, I'm not sure what all's going on with my Streamlabs. It was an update, apparently. I don't think the intro video played, but that's okay. We're all set up here, sort of. And we're gonna do this. So, earlier last week, I was gonna do a 3D print, a test print that I designed. I was doing several tests in a row. First, I designed a part in Blender, and then I ran it through Simplify 3D to slice it, set it up on the Ender 3 to print, and so that was my first test of a object created in Blender. But while it was printing, I started hearing this clicking noise, and I came over to the printer to take a look, and there was a let's see if I can show you here. Pull this down. I'm going to move the camera around a little bit here. So right back here on the feeder gear, it was it would turn and then snap back into place, and turn and snap back into place like it was bouncing. So I stopped it because I didn't want it to strip the gears. And it turns out I've run into, after a little bit of research, I found out a somewhat common problem with the Ender 3, the CR10, the various Creality 3D printers. And I ended up with a filament jam. Now, on the old CTC, what I could do is crank up the heat and just keep pushing filament through so it would push the mess out. But that was because the feeder gear was right on top of the heater block. On this one, the heating block is here, and the filament goes through the PTFE tube. Bring this down some more. The filament goes through the tube from the extruder gear here that pushes it through. So it's not quite the same, not quite as simple. And when I held it up to the light, I could actually see the filament was like there was a retraction. So when the 3D printer is moving along and it gets to a spot where the filament needs to get out of the way, alright? So it's extruding the filament through. Let me use this as an example, maybe you can see this better. So it's extruding the filament as it's moving along, and then it's got to move somewhere else, and it doesn't need to draw a line there. So it retracts the filament, moves, and then starts to extrude again. So what I think happened was, when it retracted, for some reason, maybe because of the model design, I'm not sure yet, it retracted too far. And the hot melted plastic, liquid plastic, got pulled up into the PTFE tube and then cooled real fast, causing it to fill the bottom of that tube. So what I'm going to try to do is fix this. Did some research, started taking it apart, but I want to take a look here and see what we can see. Let me see here. Speaking of seeing, take myself down. All right. So right now I've already started pulling out this coupler, and it just twists into the heater block here. So I've got it all the way to the end. So the way this is supposed to work, the PTFE tube comes out of this coupling, whatever it's called, and comes down to this one, and this end screws into the heater block here. And the way this pressure fitting works is when it's pulled up, the tube can't go the other direction. So in theory, the tube is supposed to be pushed all the way up against the actual nozzle, so there's no gap. So I don't know if maybe it shifted and there's a gap or what. So that's what I'm working with here. Let me do this. Alright. So I'm just going to kind of dig around in here and see what I can figure out. Try to keep everything on screen for you here too. So basically I need to pull this PTFE tube out. I've already unscrewed the coupling here. So I just got to give it a good yank. And it's clear on the end. Let's see if I can bring this light around here so you can see. I'm not sure if you can see that on the screen, but right here is a big thick section of filament. So that's what's blocking me up. So I've got to figure out how to get that out. Also, the problem is if this is going to stretch it, then the tube isn't going to be smooth all the way through or whatever. So I may end up flipping it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you can see on this end I've got solid filament hanging out. And it comes along and there's a big blob right there. First I think I want to see if I can just push the blob a little bit. This is an acupuncture needle that came with the Ender 3. And it's not long enough. It's actually to make sure the extruder tip is clear. And I'm going to do that real quick too. Bring the camera down here and get a good angle of it. There we go. So here's the heater. Here is the tip. So if it's clear all the way through, I should be able to push this needle through. And then that'll make sure that the only problem I have is the clog in the PTFE tube and not also on the nozzle. Let's see. I feel like I'm hitting on something. Oh yeah, well there's a little bit of filament here on the end. So I might turn it back on here in a minute and turn up the heat and see if I can push the needle through there. But you can see down the barrel there. It looks pretty clean. I think it's just the filament on the end. So that means the only real problem I have is the mess happening here in the tube. So let me see what I can do about that. Move my camera stand back. Try not to move the camera around too much. Alright, so I need something small enough but strong enough. Okay. I wonder if maybe I reconnect it to the extruder gear side and tell it to load new filament. Put the little clip on there. And maybe I can use that gear to push and see if it'll at least get it far enough in that then I can push it myself. So let's see here. And the filament I was using was the Silky Silver, and I've had several successful prints with it, so I don't think it was a filament issue. It's been really good. Something else I didn't notice before. This is, okay, I think this is a symptom of the clog. There's a section of filament here that was inside the printer, and I don't think you can see it on the screen, but it's got some teeth marks from the gear on it, where the gear was digging in. That's because it was pushing the filament forward, but it couldn't go any farther, and it was actually the filament that was bouncing back and pulling the gear back with it, I think. So, but since that's a softer filament, I'm going to try this with a harder filament so that it'll have a little more strength to push through. This green crystal filament is pretty hefty. So let's see here. Fire it up. I'm going to go ahead and crank up the nozzle along here too. 245. Now, to get this started, I'm going to have to tell the printer I want to change the filament. This is a little strange because what I've noticed is the printer has to be moving for me to be able to tell it that. So for it to be moving, I need to tell it to move. So I'm actually just going to tell it to home. It'll start moving, and then I'll tell it while it's homing, I'll be like, hey, why don't you let me change the filament? And it'll start beeping. Nothing's really wrong. It just sounds an alarm the whole time. So I tell this to move. Nope, wrong place. Prepare. Auto home. And now while it's doing that, I'll go down to tune and change filament. So it's going to find its home. Alright. Now that's kind of annoying, but there's nothing I can do to stop it right now. Oops. Didn't mean to throw you there. See if I can find a good angle. It's not working out. Sorry for all the movement. Sit you right there. Oops. Lost signal. Alright, hang on a second. Alright, we still have the alarm going off. And I'm going to try to get this... Come on. Okay. Right here's where I'm working. So I just need to... Listen here. Well, I'm going to mute the microphone while this is going off here. So, actually, while I was... Hang on. You're okay. So while I was pulling the, on the tube here, I actually got some of the filament out, and I've almost pulled it all the way through to unclog it. So I'm going to just keep pulling on this instead of mess with the trying to feed the other filament in. And see, I've already got it out this far. I had barely grabbed the tip with the cutters here because that was what was barely showing. But now that there's more of it out, I'm worried this is stretching the inside of the tube. Yeah, look at that. There's the blob. Alright, well, that was interesting. While the printer is hot, I'm going to go ahead and shove that needle through to make sure that the nozzle is not clogged. You can see it's got a little plastic here on the tip now. So there's definitely a little bit of plastic in there. Alright, well, with it a little warmer than usual, I'm just going to go ahead and try and push some filament in. So, since this is clear, this is supposed to shove in all the way in up against the nozzle. It feels like about as far as I can get it to push. I don't want to touch the heater block because it's hot right now, but let's screw this back in. I'm not sure where all the heat is, so I'm trying to be careful not to touch the wrong thing. I'm going to turn this off and let it cool down, because I don't want to burn myself. Hopefully that was good enough. I was worried I might have to replace the PTFE tube. I don't think I have a spare around here. I know Ken from the Makerspace had given me one previously for the CTC, which I never put it on it. Well, it might be in a box around here somewhere if I need it. And Tiger was talking about upgrading the PTFE tube. There's some other Unicorn or Capricorn something brand name, I guess, that's supposed to be like the best of the best. Let me show that on there. That all feels really tight. Now let's fire this up and see what happens. Before I do that, I'm going to, before I actually just send it to print, I'm going to turn the temperature back up again and see if I can push some filament through, just to make sure it's flowing. heated up, but the fan's not on. Hmm. And I'm just going to try and push the filament through. I mean, first it's got to get down to the tip. Oh yeah, there we go. Bring it down here. You can see the green coming out there. There's a little blob of the silver right down here. I'm a little concerned that the fan's not running though. Maybe tell it to preheat for PLA. Now you can see here the screen says fan's at 100% and the nozzle is being set to 185, but clearly the fan's not running. You can see the blades there. Let's see. I pulled one of these chassis screws off earlier too. Oops. Come on. Oh, well, actually, I'm not sure which fan that speed is for. Because there's one on the side here, but the one on the front's not moving. And the one on the side is moving. Alright, well. So I'll try to print from the SD card. I've got this elephant print that's worked before. The fan went back to 1%. So I'm not sure if you've seen any of my 3D printer live streams where it's printing for hours. usually there's some background music playing, and that's from Foey. He is a Brazilian artist who supports the channel here. Lets me use his music on the streams and stuff. Pretty interesting fellow. He watches the episodes sometimes too. He'll be in the chat. I reached out to a couple of other artists on YouTube and SoundCloud to see if, you know, they were interested in a little promotion. I do what I can, you know, with what I have. Alright, let's see. The bed is at 60. The nozzle's heating up to 220. The fan is still at 1%. I haven't really paid that much attention to the fan speed. You know, I thought usually it's running. Alright, I see the filament moving. We've got the starting line here. And there's the outline for the elephant. Turn this around here. Put this back over here where it normally goes when I'm live streaming the printer. This clear green's a little harder to see initially, but I can see the outline of it here. The fan here on the screen set to 0. I'm gonna put it on 100 and see what happens. Yeah, the one on the side's running. I feel like that front fan should be on though. Let me see. That was scary. Apparently I didn't have the filament on there good. Fell off the stand in the back. I see it's definitely printing. You can see a little bit of the green tint over the word Ender there on the logo. Picture of him here. Let me see. Well, either way, the tube is clear, which is good. Some dust here on the wheels. The tube is clear. I'm gonna look at the slicer settings, maybe, and see if this one didn't have the fan running in the front. I thought the front fan was based on the temperature, and I would expect it to be running, but maybe it's the filament cooling fan or something. I don't know. I know Ken had said that there's a print cooling fan, and that's G-code controlled. I know in the CTC, to get a print cooling fan, there's an extra fan to actually add to the front. And I didn't have that on that one. But I don't know. I mean, it's printing, which is good. I'm not confident that it's back to 100% where it was, though. But I think that's just my trepidation, I guess. Let's see here. So, I guess that was a success, I guess. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to move us over to the computer then, and I want to talk about lithophanes. So hold 1 second, and I'll be right over there. All right. So I'm back, and half of my face is weird. All right. Let me. I mentioned lithophane, right? So lithophane. If I spelled that right, yeah. So here from Wikipedia, it says an etched or molded artwork in a very thin, translucent porcelain. It can be seen clearly when backlit with a light source. So, as you can see here, this image, which is behind my head, this image, normally, like in porcelain, this is what it would look like. And then when you put the light behind it, it would look like this. It looks like the actual photograph, sort of a tinted black and white, I guess. I'm not happy with my light here. This way? Ah, that's better. Sort of. Okay. Anyway, so this is cool. And what I found, and as you can see here in these videos here behind my head, let's see, let me make myself smaller. Some people have done this with 3D printing. So if I go to Lithophane 3D printing and go to images, see all this crazy stuff. Like, this is a really good example. Here's Martin Luther King, and you see printed out like this, the areas that are darker, like his mustache and his suit, have more plastic because it blocks more light. So let's see, some kids, a wedding photo. That's the one from Wikipedia with the porcelain. That's odd. So here's one that was 3D printed in a cylinder. It's got the cat on there. That's pretty cool. Looks like you could put like a tea light inside or something. This is printed as a cube. So a lot of these I've seen are rounded like that, so it can go around a light bulb, right? So that's a cool one. So I've never done one of these. I think it looks neat. So I want to search and see. I use Simplify 3D. Let me search Simplify 3D lithophane. See if there's a video about it. There's a forum post from a few years ago. There was a website I had seen before where you import an image and it actually generates a model for you. Oh, that image was from their page. Effortlessly to take photos. Okay, create litho. It's an app that takes a photo. Oh, that's cool. But I don't want to use an app. I'd rather use a website or something. 3dp.rocks/lithophane. Oh, there we go. Okay. Cool. So, images, model, settings, inner curve, outer curve, solid cylinder. This is nice. So I can choose a file. Okay, let's see. Let's do Old Town City Hall. Find some image. That's a cool looking shot. And save the image. Desktop somewhere. This is Prague. Actually, I have a friend that moved to Prague recently. Desktop. Prague. Alright, so that's setting all that up. Hey, I didn't mean to be ignoring the chat there. It's over at the other side by the printer. We got Stinger 839 and Ken and Jed are all in here this evening. Let's see. Looks like these different settings recalculate the image and generate the model. Let's see, outer curve would actually go in front of a light bulb, right? So I think that would be more appropriate, or be cooler, or whatever. Huh. Let's see. Oh, here's a dome. Rectangular pillow, a heart shape. That's cool. Alright, well, I'm just going to download this model. It's STL file. Fire up Simplify 3D. I must be having trouble with my machine here. It seems like half the time I try to open an application, I have to try to open it twice. Let me see. Is it in here? Yep. Hey, Tiger. Tiger's here too. Ken said somebody let Murphy out of the cage. Yeah, I have applications not opening. It's dropping the camera. All kinds of crazy stuff going on here. Well. If I can't open the slicer, I can't try to slice this file. Let's see, maybe if I just click the file, it'll open. I think I have two different versions of Simplify 3D installed. I'm not sure which one clicking the file will open. Or it might not open any copy. Oh, the other ones didn't close. Now version 3 is trying to open. Well, that's not doing anything. Let me... Let's check on the print. Since I put up the green screen, there's not as much light over there, so it's the camera's showing up in black and white. But yeah, it's printing along. I still see this front fan's not spinning. But like I said, I'm not sure if that fan was spinning before or not whenever I ran a print. But the one on the opposite side is running. So I'm not sure if one is for just cooling the block or keeping airflow and the other one is for cooling the filament. I don't know. Just need to do a little more research on the parts of the machine, I guess. And I still don't have a slicer opening. Let me try to end these again. Ah, there we go. Okay. Let's see. Stinger 839 says, "What are you making? My friend and I are just watching, but we also just ate Chinese, so we're generally unaware of reality." Well, this print is a low poly elephant. So the first part of the episode here, the PTFE tube, this tube here feeding into the where the filament's coming in, was clogged. I was working on unclogging that. And oh, there's the slicer. And now we're discussing lithophane. Let's see. Remove. So where was that other? This one. Okay, so drag this over here and take a look at it in the slicer. So you saw what I did. I just went and found an image on Google, dropped it into that website, and told it what shape I wanted. And now this, it gave us the model for that. And the areas where the filament is thicker is where less light would shine through. So let me see. I'll pull up the model, the picture next to the model here. Put that there. Open image in new tab. So, for example, it's darker back here, darker along the street here. So there's more plastic right here. I wonder what that looks like in the... Let's see, I'm going to... Let's see here. Probably should print that at 100% infill. Oh yeah, this is the pretend everything is a top layer setting. So let me do that and just see what it looks like. And we can actually look at the layers. How the printer would print them. Tiger says 99%. Well, like I said, this setting actually is the one where it pretends like every layer is a top layer. But I'm going to turn off supports. And I think I did this 0.1, yeah. I've been trying to keep my process names in line with what they actually say. So if I'm just, you know, quick glance, grabbing a process, it actually says what it is. Alright. So let's see, this is preview by layer. And I'm going to come way down here. So you can see here, layer by layer, where it's thinner, more light would shine through than where it's thicker. So right here would be darker than like over here where it's thinner. So that sky is pretty dark because you can see it's pretty thick. And then when it's all done, put the light behind it. So let's see. Tiger says a brim or something on the bottom isn't a bad idea. Yeah, I was just looking at I wanted to see the layers first before I started messing with the other settings. And I was gonna look and see this weekend project talking about the lithophanes. See if it had any oh, this is doing like an LED strip and wire and soldering and stuff, making a cool little box. That's cool. Let's see. Now it looks like they printed all 3 sides of the square on the same run. Wrap the LEDs around the post. Huh, that's cool. Let's see. This is here, somebody made a lamp. Let's take a look at this lamp. Oh, so it's the same one. Tiger asked, the sky should be lighter, right? Thin, not thicker. Well, that's what I thought too, looking at this picture, because it looks like the top of this building is really dark, so that should be really thick, and this should be lighter. But I don't know. It's definitely smooth there, but it is definitely thicker. Oh. Let's see, let me just find another image. How about New Orleans Cemetery? Yeah, let's look at this image. So this looks like the text above the sign would be thicker, and then back here it would be really thin for all the different mausoleums, and maybe a slant going up here. Tiger says he thinks you should use a negative. That's a good question. Oh, I see. You're saying that the image itself should be a negative. That would make sense, because then the lighter sections would be the darker sections, so it should be thicker, so this would be the opposite. Let's see if there's any settings in here. Image settings. Oh, ha! The image settings in here were a negative image. We change that to positive image. And try again. Refresh. Oh yeah, look at that. It flipped the image on it. Or flipped the positive to negative. And now the buildings are sticking out from the sky. That was a good catch, Tiger. I didn't even look at these settings before. See, mirror it, flip it, repeat. Huh. What else is in here? Model settings. Thickness border. Oh, there, it could add a base. Let's see, Tiger says that's what I do. Oh, that's right. Tiger did a couple of these. I remember there was like a Wonder Woman. Maybe some other ones. What other ones did you do, Tiger? I don't know what difference that setting made. I changed the base to 16. I'll put that back to 0. Family photos. Grandkids and stuff, huh? That's cool. Yeah, so I had made the Starship Enterprise D and the horse for my boss's kids, and then I was talking to him about doing some kind of a photo thing, and I showed him some pictures of the lithophane stuff, and he thought that was pretty cool. Let's see, put the new one in here. Oh yeah, look at that. The sky is the thinnest now. That makes more sense. Interesting. So if I would have printed the other one, it would have been, yeah, the opposite. The darker would have been the lighter areas. Would have been a waste of filament. Cool. So if we go back to the process. So Tiger, how did you convert your photographs to the lithophane models? Did you use the same website or a website or some other method? Is there some app or something on your phone? Yeah. Let's see if I can find the top of that building. Oh, there it is. Big, thicker area in the sky. Cool. So Tiger says he used Photoshop to go to black and white and then the negative. Yeah, but then how did you convert the image itself to the model? I just downloaded the New Orleans. Okay, you use that same site. From looking at what the site's doing, I don't think you had to Photoshop it. Because it's got the image settings here. Or here. But there's positive and negative image. And it looked like when it imported the image, it made it black and white. Let's see. I just downloaded that New Orleans image. See, it's black and white right there. Now we know that. Yeah, that's cool. Let me download this model and look at it in the slicer. That's neat. So I wonder, this looks like the same thickness all the way through going up though. So I guess that the blue fade of the sky from lighter to darker didn't really translate very well once it converted it to black and white. Or it wasn't enough of a transition, I guess. I don't know. Let's see what this looks like. I ran out of water. That's cool. Alright, well, I guess if the elephant comes out fine again, now in green, I'll load up the hot white filament and try out some with the vein prints and like when the different fans are running, because since putting my tube back together, this front fan hasn't been running, but I don't know if it should be or if it was before. I thought it was before, but I'm not sure. Have you noticed on your CTC or your CR10 or your Ender 3 or your CR10 what happens with this front fan versus the side fan? Sometimes it's just mesmerizing to watch the 3D printer at work. Stinger 839 says, seeing this really is making me want to get a printer. Print a bunch of small tiles and assemble them into cylinder lights or do a globe. Yeah, normal things like pictures from trips or complicated things like mosaics. Yeah. That would be pretty cool. And they're, you know, $200. Usually on sale on GearBest or something. See, Tiger says mine works. Mine comes on after the first layer. Check your settings. Yeah, I'm worried that I might have messed something up. Might have burnt through a wire or something. Earlier, I turned the heat up to 245 to try and push the needle through and then push some extra filament through to make sure the nozzle wasn't clogged, and there was a little clump there in the nozzle. Alright, we'll have to look at that. No, I'm not printing over USB, just over the SD card. I could hook it up in USB and then tell it to turn the fan on and off and make sure it's working. But no, it's just from the SD card right now. I haven't set up Octoprint yet. Which, Stinger 839. Tiger mentioned Octoprint, or Octopi. It's a pretty cool, little operating system that runs on Linux that controls or runs on a Raspberry Pi that controls your printer, and you can see the temperatures and all this. But there's also a new thing that'll work with Octoprint or with its own called AstroPi, I think. Nope. AstroPrint. Yeah. Cloud platforms. You can actually log into it with your phone or from the website or whatever and start prints even when you're not home or anything. It just tell it to go. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Tiger said, let's take a look at the slicer settings. Well, we can. I'm not sure which one I used for the elephant print, though. That's one of the problems. It was probably... Nope. You know, the fan speed should be the same on all of these because I don't ever change the cooling settings. The 1458, 030, 6000. Yeah, 1458, 030, 6000. 1458, 030, 6000. And this is at least to the 8th layer. So that fan should be on 100%. Which, you know, on the little screen it shows the fan with the percentage. I saw it at 30 and I saw it at 60 earlier. But again, I wasn't sure if it was that front fan or the side fan. Pardon me. It was the front fan or the side fan. I guess that's the front fan, and I've got another problem. Or I caused another problem while fixing the first problem. Alright, well, I guess I'll have to take the... There you go. This cover here will come off with these couple of screws here, and it'll just like fold over to the side, so I can check the wiring there, see if maybe something got a little singed. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna have to take that apart again, or further, differently, I guess, and see what's going on there. But cool. Well, I guess I'm gonna stop the stream here then. The printer's working mostly again, and we talked about the lithophane prints, going from an image. Converting to the model using the website and looking at the slicer settings, and then Tiger mentioned that it looked backwards, and sure enough it was. Let's see, Tiger says the front fan is for the heater, the side fan is for part cooling. Okay. Stinger 839 asked if this is the new printer. Yeah, this is... I don't have the CTC anymore. I donated it to the Makerspace. So I have this Ender 3 right now is the only one I have. But I have another Ender 3 that's I'm waiting to arrive. It'll be twins side by side. Oh, hey, Matt. Matt's been lurking. He says, that was awesome. Definitely going to try to do Lithophanes with some Christmas presents. Yeah, man. Matt also got an Ender 3 recently. Put it together. Matt, have you tried printing anything yet? Or leveling the bed? Or setting up anything else further besides putting the frame together? I don't know if you watched mine and Tiger's video putting them together. It was a long video. We had lots of jokes, had a good old time. Not quite as instructive, I guess, as some of the other ones on YouTube that are like, here's the 20-minute setup. But I think we had a lot more fun. Let's see. Tiger says, if your temperature is stable, the front fan won't come on until the cooling is needed. Alright, so maybe my temperature is stable. Let's see. Matt says he hasn't printed anything yet. Need to get the belt fixed. I'll have to try this weekend. We should talk later. Tell me what's going on with the belt. I know you had mentioned something about you thought maybe it was too tight or not tight enough or something. You know, that tension lock or whatever over here on the side. It's pretty simple to mess with there. But I'm not sure if that's what you mean or something else, but I can't wait to see what you and you know, your son get going there. I'm sure there'll be a lot of fun stuff posted on Facebook and stuff. Cool. Well, thanks again, everybody, for stopping by. Stinger839 and your lurking friend, Matt and Tiger and Ken and Jed. I think Sajesh came by earlier too. So, good talking to you guys. Thanks for the support and checking out the video. Hopefully, you know, I can have less problems getting the stream going and stuff. You know, Streamlabs, it's in beta. It's version 0.11.7. And when I first started my very first episode here, 16 episodes ago, so what, 17 weeks, because I skipped one. Well, the first week I think I did 2 or 3 episodes. But anyway, 15 weeks ago, it was version 0.8. So there's been a lot of updates, and sometimes I'll, you know, kick it off, and I'm ready to get going, and then I've got to wait for a download and an update and restart and everything else. So, hopefully I can start getting that a little bit sooner to make sure everything's ready to go. Let's see. Matt says, it helps me to see someone encountering problems and not run screaming. I might be screaming on the inside. Maybe. But, cool. Yeah, alright, well, I guess I'm going to try and play the outro. I don't know, the intro didn't work right. So we'll see what happens. If it doesn't, I'm going to go to black screen and just cut it off. And thanks everybody for stopping by. And have a good one. Yeah, that didn't work right. Alright, well, thanks again. Catch you later.